welcome to our March webinar on Interact Streamer, and I am so happy to welcome everyone here. My name is Karen Anderson, and I am Director of Supporting Success for Children with Hearing Loss and partnering with Robert Palmquist from Auditory Sciences, who together bring you the opportunity to check out just what Interact Streamer is. I'm happy to talk about Interact Streamer. It's an automated captioning program that we really think is an important accommodation to consider for our students who are hard of hearing in the classroom. And as we recognize, most of the students who wear hearing aids or cochlear implants at this point are fully included in the general education setting. And unfortunately, even in this time of terrific technology, hearing devices just do not restore normal hearing. And that means that students must expend more energy to listen. And this leaves fewer cognitive resources for them to understand and then remember what it is they heard. So there's always this listening gap that occurs because hearing devices do not restore normal hearing. So it's not surprising that as the expectations increase for students to learn new vocabulary as they move through the grades, it's very challenging for students who are hard of hearing to keep up with all of these vocabulary demands and to truly keep up with all of the verbal instruction that's going on in the classroom. And it's not surprising that due to this listening gap, it's hard for our students to keep pace with their typically hearing classmates. And we often see academic gaps grow. They look good in kindergarten, they do okay in first grade, and then by third grade, fourth grade, we often see some gaps occurring. So that by the time they get into late elementary or certainly middle school, we often see that there is a challenge with them being able to really understand and keep up with the vocabulary demands of their classmates. I like to share this story, and you're going to see it in a second, because it is an illustration of what it's like to hear with a 25 decibel hearing loss. Just to give you some background, typically hearing children hear sounds between -10 to +15 decibels. So a 25 decibel hearing loss doesn't sound like much, but what happens is that the endings of sounds get lost, the unemphasized words often are not perceived, and the words can sometimes move into one another in terms of how they're understood. So I'm going to go ahead and bring you through this common children's story, and I'll let you see the first line. Let's see, there we go. And then I'll read it. Once upon a time, a city mouse went to visit a country mouse. Country mouse lived in a field. He was glad to see his city friend. The two mice ran about the field and played until noon. So if you were to ask this student, did he hear the story? The answer is yes. Yes, he heard the story, but did he hear all of the parts of all of the words? No. And it's going to take him more effort and energy to try and figure out just what the teacher was saying. And this is where accommodations come in. There we go. So the ADA, or the Americans with Disabilities Act, specifies that schools must ensure that the communication of students with hearing loss is as effective as it is for class peers, thereby affording them an equal opportunity to reach the same level of achievement as that provided to others. So as you can imagine from listening to the story from the last slide, that there really is a listening gap, and in order for that student to really get equal access, we need to figure out ways to level the playing field or to try and optimize the access that the hearing instruments just do not provide. I'm being a doofus with my slides here. So effective communication per the ADA is going to be provided through auxiliary aids and services. And that can include sign language interpreters. It can include our hearing assistance devices like FM or DM systems, and certainly captioning. These are all examples of auxiliary aids that are designed to level this playing field in the classroom. So Interact Streamer can be used as a classroom accommodation. And there's a couple of ways to look at captioning as an accommodation. The first is a primary accommodation, and this is where the student just does not hear or perceive as enough of that speech signal to really be able to follow along with what the teacher is saying. And so the student is going to be watching the captioning transcript all of the time. So we often see this with students who have like a severe hearing loss, for example, and are not amplified via a cochlear implant. Where Interact Streamer comes in more commonly is as a secondary accommodation for those students who are hard of hearing, and they are using their hearing as their primary avenue for learning, usually with the aid of hearing assistance technology like FM or DM devices, plus their own personal hearing devices. And so what these students would do is they're going to be watching that teacher as she presents information and listening to her carefully. And if they feel like they've missed something, then they scan down, look at the captioning, just like you can now, and see what they might have missed in terms of a phrase or a word that's unknown. And then they can pop right back up and use their vision to further observe what their teacher is saying. Using Interact Streamer can also facilitate the transition process. And as we know, transition services are required for all students who are receiving specialized services under IEPs, starting no later than age 14. And unfortunately, only about half of people who are deaf or hard of hearing are fully employed or optimally employed. And the employment rates we know increase with the greater amount of education they have. So those students who get through college are going to have much higher employment rates than are those who just graduate from high school. So we really want to optimize what our students get out of the transition process, and knowing what they need for an accommodation and what is best for them, what really helps the most is going to help them prepare to go into higher education and prepare for employment. So allowing that student to try different accommodations will help them understand what is best for them, and therefore they can request that when they go into the next phase of their lives. So a trial with streamer captioning can also really help further a student's transition of goals above and beyond just the fact that they're receiving this accommodation in their public school classroom. Well, today's webinar, and again, welcome to all of you who are joining us, and we really want to answer your questions today. And to do that, we're going to bring you through a demonstration, and soon I'm going to be turning it over to Rob Palmquist, who is the developer of this amazing software program. He's going to show you how Streamer works, and you're going to be able to experience it for yourself. And by doing so, I'm sure as you're thinking about one student or more than one student, you can start to get a feel for what it will take for that student to be successful with this accommodation. We're also going to give you a little information and to tell you where to find out more about how using this captioning app is going to be able to interact or be used with the child's hearing assistance technology. So again, I'm very, very pleased that Supporting Success for Children with Hearing Loss is partnering with Rob Palmquist from Auditory Sciences. He does a wonderful job of taking it from here. So Rob, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Thanks, Karen. I'll turn on my microphone as well. And so everything that I'm saying will be captioned, and just as you were seeing that with Karen there. And again, everything that you're seeing here is the software itself. There is no human in the background that's typing away here. This is all automated captioning. Thanks for joining us. Let's go a little bit into what Streamer is. We're going to show you how you can use it for free, how you can sign up for a trial for your student, take you through the day in the life of a student, how the system will get used by those individuals. But let's talk a little bit about what it is first. So again, an automated captioning and translation system. So we'll get a little bit into language translation here, but mostly we're talking about the captioning side of the equation. So this is a website system. There is no installation that you need to do of software. And that can be a big deal because this way you don't have to run down and find that computer tech and get authorization to install something and go through all those hassles. Plus, because it's a website, you always have the latest version of the software. So you don't have to worry about updates or getting those updates. This system, because it's web-based, runs on basically anything. So Chromebooks, iPhones, iPads, Mac devices, laptops, tablets, basically anything that can connect to the internet will be able to run Streamer absolutely just fine. Also, as part of this system, we can do the captioning and provide real-time language translation in dozens of languages. So you can see sort of a short listing here, but there's definitely more that we support. And so if a language that you need in order to communicate with a student or a parent that would prefer to speak a different language, if it's not on that list that just flashed by you there quickly,
Hey,
let us know. And
Rob,
odds are we can help support you. Yes.
Rob, we don't see the slides advancing. We still see the young woman pointing to the light bulb. So you want to check the slides and make sure that they're
right
advanced.
Now you should see a slide saying private and secure. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So definitely this system is private and secure. And I want to emphasize that because this is becoming a bigger and bigger issue with the schools today, is that security of student data. And now we're going directly into a classroom. And so we're going to get that transcription of everything that's being said. Everything that we're doing here is completely secure and private. So that's contrasted with something like Microsoft Translator, where they are very public that what they're doing is looking at your data, analyzing that data, and they're using that in various fashions, including providing that to third-party salespeople that will go out and then send you nice advertisements based on the content of what's in those transcripts. Here, everything is private and secure. And why is that? Well, one, because we think it's a good idea. But from day zero, we started developing this capability with the military. And so by definition, what the military does has to be quite secure. And so we started out with language translation, supporting Marines in theater, so in the field, in order to be able to have a conversation directly with a local populace in Arabic or whatever language they needed. As a result of that success, the Marines came back to us and said, hey, can you support our Marines that, as a result of their military experience, have permanent hearing loss? And the percentage of Marines with hearing loss is actually, unfortunately, quite staggering. I don't know if you saw some of the news this week about a lawsuit that's been filed by the Marine Corps against 3M Company dealing with hearing protection, but it is a huge issue. And so we were very honored to work with the Marines on being able to better support those individuals coming back from their experience that do have permanent hearing loss as a result of gunfire or cannon fire going off next to their ears. So that's where this software came from. So it is very much secure from the beginning. That's designed into the system. This is not an afterthought. Certainly, lots of various groups have reviewed this product. We're very appreciative of them taking the time. Recently, we were awarded by the retail solutions providers. These are the folks that do the studies and an analysis for Walmart and Target and Best Buy. All the major players out there that have a bricks and mortar store use this group in order to test products. And they came back and said, yeah, this one is the best. And also, we did receive this award recently for the best education technology product. So that's kind of nice. We like getting those awards. But more important is, what is Streamer all about? So I gave you some quick overviews here, but let's jump into Streamer itself and take a look at that. So I'm going to collapse down the PowerPoint slides. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, make it full screen. And now you can see how Streamer is working. So you did see the captioning below the slides there as we were talking, but now you can see the entire interface in real time. So everything that I'm saying is being captioned by the software itself. Again, there is no third-party person in the background here listening in on what's happening and typing away as I'm talking. This is all being done automatically by the software.
What I really love about this is that Interact Streamer, it doesn't just do this direct word by word translation, does it? It really analyzes for context, and then as you look at the transcript as a whole, it puts in punctuation, and from a student standpoint or an educator standpoint, you get full sentences, you get full paragraphs. So it's just so much head and shoulders above the other options. So sorry about that, Rob. I just got excited.
No, that's great. And what you can see there is it can support multiple people talking simultaneously. So if you're in a team teaching situation, it's absolutely fine to have multiple people talking. Or perhaps you have students sitting around in a circle around a table, having a small group discussion, working on a book report or something like that. This software is going to be able to support all those individual speakers. Show you a couple other quick features here. I can change the font size. So if you have a student with some vision issues, they could certainly make this larger or smaller, whatever their preference is. I can download the transcript, so I can do that coming over here and click on the Streamer settings. And if I click download, then I could do that. I guess I won't do that right now during the presentation. Now, you also have the ability to prevent a student from downloading the transcript. So that's a permission that you give to them. So if you're not comfortable with them being able to download that as a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word doc or something like that, that's absolutely fine. You have the ability to control who has access to your room, what they can do when they get into that room. For example, downloading a transcript. Can they add to the transcript? Can they share files? Any sort of information that is entered into the room, you control access to that information. Again, we're very big here on the idea of having a secure system that is private and is going to maintain that privacy for your students' records. All right, let's jump back to the PowerPoint slides here and step through again some of the little features here a little more in detail. So just to repeat, all you're doing with this system is going to a website. You do not need to do an installation or install an app or anything like that to view the captioning. You just go to the website, log in using the account that we'll give you. We'll give you an admin account that you'll use, and then you'll use that to set up additional accounts for students to access that. You just click on the microphone, and anything that you're saying will be captioned. And as Karen pointed out, it is contextual-based captioning. You can see as I'm talking here that the software is looking forward and backwards and doing auto correction in order to come up with an accurate transcript, and then adding the punctuation as we move forward. We identify the person that is speaking, and that's shown in the left-hand column. You saw that earlier as Karen was speaking. So if you have multiple people speaking, the person relying on this transcript is going to know who said what at what given time. So again, support of multiple speakers. Kind of a new feature, the ability to leave private messages for students or to have a private conversation. So for example, let's say that you are using this system, you're a teacher in front of a classroom of 8 students. I'm sorry, 8 students are using the captioning. There may be additional students in the classroom. But if one of those students has a question, what they can do now is send you a private message using this system. So nobody else is going to see that. And you as a teacher could send a private message to a student saying something like, hey, are you paying attention? So this ability to use Streamer in order to share and exchange documents and private messages is something really nice to be able to do. Lots of other features here that I'm kind of going to glance over here because I want to get more into how it gets used in the classroom. So with each Streamer subscription, what you receive is a private and secure room and an administration user account that you will use to administer your system. You can create as many accounts as you want. Accounts are free. All you're paying for is that private and secure room. So you'll create an account for the student to use, maybe each teacher to use. Accounts are very easy to create, and again, you can create as many as you want. You alone have the key to your room. You decide who can enter it, who can view that captioning, who can modify the captioning, who can save it. You control all aspects of that room. Again, you have the key, and you alone have that key. Each Streamer room is used for captioning or translating a single conversation. So if you have multiple students in different rooms at the same time of the day, then you're going to need multiple subscriptions. But it's very common, by far most common, for a student that's going throughout the course of the day, they will have a single subscription that they'll use in each of their 7 or 8 classrooms, whatever they have occurring during the day. The typical setup is that the student has some sort of device that can connect to the internet. So this could be a laptop, an iPad, a Chromebook, any sort of device that can connect to the internet. And the teacher will have a wireless microphone. Commonly, that's an existing wireless FM system that you already have. If you do not have one, then I'll show you in a moment some microphones that we offer. But these days, it's more common for you to use your own existing wireless microphone system. What the requirements are for the device is just simply an internet connection and a device that can use that internet connection. We do like using an external microphone, so that's why we have this desire for a USB port or a Lightning port. We do not care at all about the RAM on your computer or the number of the ability for that CPU to crunch numbers or something like that. We're very fine using a very low-end device like an Amazon Kindle. That would be absolutely fine. So for $29, you could go out and buy an Amazon Kindle and be able to use this system. So what does it look like in the classroom? Well, here's an example. So you have a student, in this case, using a Microsoft Surface tablet. But the point I want to make here is that this student blends in with all the other students. There is nothing that makes them look different. And that can be a huge deal for some students. And so in this particular case, again, we blend in very nicely with everyone in that classroom. The day in the life is that the student will carry this device and the wireless mic to the room, hand the wireless mic to the teacher, go to the website to view the captioning. They'll add notes to the transcript wherever desired. At the end of the class period, if you've given them permission, if you've allowed them the ability to download the transcript, they'll go ahead and do that. Save it as a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word doc or whatever format they want. They'll clear that transcript and then go to the next class. Pretty simple. And so that's how the system gets typically used. Again, we support multiple speakers, multiple devices. So if you have a classroom where you have multiple teachers speaking, absolutely no problem. If you have a classroom where students have different types of devices, a laptop, a Mac, an iPad, a Chromebook, whatever it might be, again, not an issue at all. You're going to have the same interface on every device because this is a web-based system versus something where you have to download apps. And again, with that single subscription, you're going to be able to support that student throughout the course of the day. I want to talk really quickly about language translation. So in addition to captioning, if you have a situation where people are speaking different languages within that classroom, or you have students that would prefer to speak something like Korean or Hindi or Spanish, that's very easy for Streamer to do for you. And so what I'm going to do is bring over a window here. And what you can see is everything that I'm saying in English is temporarily displayed in English and then quickly converted over to Spanish. Let me make this a little bit bigger so that you can see it. That font size is pretty small. So you can kind of see how that works, that a student that would prefer to listen to the lectures in Spanish can do this. It's very quickly converted from English to that student's language. And we could do this in multiple languages, for example, Russian or Korean or Vietnamese or something like that. And in addition to having this displayed, it can also be spoken out loud. And so we have the ability to turn on continuous voice. And now the student, in addition to hearing, seeing what you're saying, will also have the ability to be able to listen to it as well. All right, let's get back to some slides here. There we go. Some additional uses that you can use for Streamer. Certainly you can use this to caption all school assemblies. So up to this point, we've been talking about in the classroom. But what about that student or that group of students that would like to see the captioning of what's happening in that all school assembly? Maybe you have 400 students in a gymnasium and there's 18 that would like to see the captioning of what's being said. Not a problem at all. All 18 can simultaneously log into the website and they'll be able to view the captioning of what's being said. Now, the same thing can be done with morning announcements. So now instead of these 18 students all being in the gymnasium, they're in 18 separate classrooms throughout your campus. Same situation though. Again, because this is a web-based software, everything that's being said will be captioned and displayed to those students wherever they are in their campus. So 18 different students in each a different room will be able to view a captioning of those morning announcements. You can combine this with Skype to accurately caption conversations for homebound students, and also certainly English as a second language students. So if that's a need for you, by all means, let us know, and we can step you through those procedures a little bit more detail on how to use this system to support those individuals that would prefer to speak a language other than English. I do want to take a step back here just for a moment to talk about something that is very important to us, and that is your feedback to us. So this particular software is built based strongly upon the recommendations and suggestions that came from you as educators. And so we definitely appreciate that. So things like being able to run on Chromebooks and iPads, no installs, a web-based system, all that feedback came from you. New things that we've done this year so far in January, existing capability with capability with existing FM systems. That was a big deal because there's a lot of students out there that already have a wireless system. So we went out and worked with the various providers to come up with a solution that does indeed work, and it does work. By far, this is what the majority of new deployments are doing, is using an existing FM system versus one of ours. So yes, we've done that. The private messaging and document sharing, we talked about that. The ability to be able to exchange those conversations with individual students versus the entire class was important to educators. So that's done. We are right now actively working on the ability to have one-click note insertion. So as the student is listening to the lecture, if there's a part of that lecture that is really important to them, they'll be able to quickly add a note that says study this. Or perhaps the opposite, maybe this is not important and they could enter the note that way. The point being, they'll be able to listen to the lecture and at the same time add those notes. Right now, I could type a note, but as I'm typing, by definition, I'm basically no longer listening to the teacher, so I'm missing what is important. So we are adding this ability for the student to very easily insert notes and therefore categorize the transcript as it's being generated. So that's going to happen here in March. In April, something that I'm really excited to put into place, which I think will be very useful, is an automatic summarizer. So this will take the entire hour-long transcript that's being generated, and we will automatically summarize that or condense it into a single paragraph. So that way the student later on, when they're using this to study notes, doesn't have to look through pages of a transcript to find that particular class period where some subject matter was being discussed. Here they'll just be able to look at that quick paragraph and be able to see what that lecture was all about. So that's coming. Lots of other features in the roadmap as well, but those are just a few that are on the path. Another sort of exciting thing is that we've been talking with the folks at Supporting Success for Children with Hearing Loss, and one of the requests that we got back from various teachers and educators is that there are a lot of conferences and seminars that you host. And so if you're doing that, working with the folks at Supporting Success for Children with Hearing Loss, we've agreed to provide free streamer to caption all your sessions. So if you are indeed hosting a conference or going to a conference and you would like to have captioning provided at that conference, contact us and we will set you up with a free streamer capability where you'll be able to caption all those sessions, all the keynote addresses and such that are occurring at that seminar or that conference. So that's kind of exciting, I think. Totally free. We'll set that up for you and get you going with no cost to you whatsoever. Earlier on, I mentioned that we do offer some microphone systems that you can purchase, but by far these days, what educators are doing is using an existing wireless FM system. And so we do have some very short, quick tip videos that step you through the process on how to do that. If you are going to use an existing wireless FM system, we do recommend that you purchase a specialized cable that we've developed to make this easy. And in many cases, you'll also need a USB adapter. These things are very inexpensive, but they're also really nice for the student to have. It just makes the implementation easier to do. And so definitely after this video, what we'll be doing is sending you links with information, including these slides. And you can use this to access that quick tip video that will show you how to very quickly integrate an existing wireless FM system. If you do not already have a wireless FM system, then here are two that we will recommend to you. One is the Nano system, and you can see the price there, and the other one is the Dual system. And the cost for these, you can see, in each case, there are three options for your wireless microphones, a headset, a handheld, or a lapel. They all cost the same, so depending on how you want to configure your system, you can pick one of these three types of microphones and have them be part of your system. Going into a little detail here real quick, the Nano microphone receiver provides one microphone input. So you have your choice of a headset, a handheld, or a lapel mic. Again, these are all wireless connections. And that's going to connect up to the student's receiver, which is just a USB thumb drive that plugs directly into the device. So very small in size for a student that wants to fit in with peers and not appear to look different. This is a really nice system to consider. And so again, very small system. You can kind of see the size of it there. The belt pack transmitter, that's about the size of a deck of cards to try and give you some size perspective there. And so with that system, you get everything that you need with that kit. You'll get the cables, the batteries, all the above. The dual microphone system, as the system implies there, has two microphone inputs. So I can simultaneously connect, for example, a lapel mic that maybe the teacher is wearing and a handheld mic that a group of students are using as they're sitting around a small group discussion. With that, you do get two audio outputs, one connecting to the computer and the second that could be used to connect to a hearing aid or a cochlear implant or whatever you might need. So again, here's some details on the dual system. A little bit bigger in size. Now the receiver is the size of a business card. So it's still going to easily fit in a student's pocket, but it's not as small as the Nano. But again, more features because now we can hook up 2 microphones. Also with the dual system, because that receiver is a little bit bigger, again, 2 inches by 3 inches, the size of a business card, we offer a bracket that allows the student to attach that to the back of an iPad or an Android phone, completely adjustable, and so it's very easy to do that. So you end up with an extremely portable system with a wireless microphone that, again, your choice of a lapel headset or handheld. So certainly lots of different options that we have for you to consider as you're using the system. Let's talk about overall budget. The cost of your system, you'll subscribe to Streamer, and that cost comes out to a bit under $66 a month for the first year, and then it drops to a bit under $17 per month thereafter. So the total cost for that first year, $795, and each subsequent year, it's only $199. So pretty affordable for what we're offering here. With that, you can create up to 100 Streamer student accounts, with each account sharing that same Streamer room. And actually, if you need more, we can increase that amount. We've just defaulted it to 100 so we don't get some hacker out there that creates a million accounts and tries to overload our system. So by default, you get 100 accounts. If you need more, let us know. In addition to the subscription, you'll also need a wireless microphone of some sort, so wireless FM or Bluetooth. If you purchase one from us, you can see the prices there. But again, you're encouraged to use your own if you already have one. And a computer or tablet of some form. And so that $49, actually Amazon, I just saw Amazon had a sale on their Kindles and Fires for $29. So you can get pretty inexpensive here. But realistically, you're probably going to use a Chromebook or something like that. But whatever device you want is absolutely fine with us as long as it can connect to the internet and run a Chrome browser. What we'd like you to do is to, before you go out and spend that $795 on actually purchasing a year-long subscription, is to sign up for a 30-day classroom trial. Pretty affordable here. The cost is $99, plus if you include one of our microphones, we do ask that you provide a return deposit on that microphone. With that, you get the full version of Interact Streamer that you can run on as many computers as you want. So share this with the parents, the students, other teachers, as many people as you want. We're absolutely fine with that. Again, we're going to send you these slides, so you'll have this web link so you don't have to frantically write this down right now. But on the website, you'll be able to go to this link and be able to easily purchase that trial. Other additional help that's out there, there are some really nice video tutorials that have been put together. And these are quite short in length, so I don't want you to give you the idea that these are like an hour long. There's, I think, about 9 or 10 of them, and each of them roughly a minute long. So it doesn't take a lot to learn how to use Streamer. Quite a lot of power here, but not an awful lot of difficulty in being able to set up your systems. And so again, quite easy to be able to do that. All right. So the additional thing that I'd like you to consider is to give it a try, and you can do this right now if you want. You can do it later today, but this is a way you can try it for free. Absolutely give it a shot. Just open up a Chrome browser on basically any device, and you're going to go to the website shown there. You'll sign on using the account teacher and the password as shown there, 1234567 And when you do that, you can click on the room that will be displayed to you, and then just start talking. Everything that you're saying is going to be captioned. If you want to see the translation side of it on a second computer, go ahead and log in using a second account, in this case, teacher-Spanish, and the password is shown there. And with that, you'll be able to see the translation occurring. So an important note here, that this is a public room that everyone that's viewing this presentation will have access to. And so that anybody can log in using this account and the password because we've just shared it with the world. And so this isn't really a private room because everybody has access to it. So this is not a room that you would use to caption an actual classroom lecture. For the actual classroom lecture, we want you to go ahead and sign up for that very affordable trial. And so I just wanted to emphasize that. All right, let me jump over. Karen, can you show us a quick tour of the website? Let me pull that over for you here.
I would love to. Let's see.
Can you grab it there, or you
Yeah,
want me to grab it?
I want you to grab it.
All right, let me take over the mouse here for a second. There we
Sure.
go, and I'll pull it up.
I wanted
And
to. Okay. I wanted
go ahead.
to emphasize what Rob said about the trial periods. These are for children's accommodations to their education, and no accommodation is perfect for every student. So we have a lot of students who are hard of hearing. We know that FM or DM hearing assistance technology is a good recommendation for most of them. We know that they're going to be missing information in their classroom auditorily, but they have a great variability in their reading ability and how quickly they can read. That reading fluency is very variable, as is their language ability. So Interact Streamer is a wonderful, inexpensive gateway to captioning. To give it a try for any of the hard of hearing students, typically in secondary school. A lot of times this is tried for kids in middle school, and then certainly as part of the transition plan of those students in high school. But we want to really emphasize, do the trial and really see if it's going to work for that particular student. And then if it really does work well for the student and you purchase the software, that is terrific. And now really is the time to do that, because the deal that we have on the pricing, and I'm going to show you where to find this, under products, there it is. There's all of our Interact information right here. And I'm just going to zoom to the purchasing Interact, since we're going to talk about it a little bit more. The way that it is set up now, it is that $795 subscription for 12 months, for a year. And let me zoom down here. We do take purchase orders, by the way. And then if you want to do subsequent years, it is only that $199 for any subsequent year. Starting next fall, Rob and I have been talking seriously about offering just a subscription, month by month kind of a subscription, and that has a discount if you buy for a whole year. That's going to be at a higher price than what you see now. So certainly it's still going to be inexpensive in the realm of special ed expenses, and certainly much less expensive than having a person doing the captioning. But I just wanted to point that out. If you're thinking, oh, well, this is good, we're going to plan for it for next year, the same pricing is not going to be available next fall. It will be higher. So this particular purchasing page is going to spell out all of the nano microphone and the dual microphone and what you can purchase, and the different pricing. And you can do it all via online, meaning use a P card or your school district credit card. And you can also send us a purchase order. And information about sending the purchase order is right up at the top of this page as well. So that's the purchasing information. I also wanted to point out, we do have other supports here. Most of the people just go and listen to the videos that Mike Massini has put together. And Mike is the consultant for Supporting Success, whose job is to support schools in determining how they can best use Streamer. And a lot of what he does is help school districts that have a student with a certain kind of equipment, and if there's any questions about how it can be used. If you go on the main page or that landing page for Streamer, there's this information that is also going to be coming to you via email tomorrow with the follow-up from this conference or from this webinar, but it's also on the landing page here. In video streamer, videos with Interact Streamer questions can also be accessed through this main page. Just wanted to give you a little bit more of our tour here. We have pages for what does it look like to do a trial period, and we have ideas for assessing the benefit, because ideally what you would like to do is to have your speech language pathologist, your teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing, work with the student for a session before they even try the captioning, and have that student listen to a paragraph maybe from one of their textbooks and then answer questions about it to get an informal idea of how accurate is he in terms of the amount of information he's getting right now. Gather some data on that listening comprehension ability with just the hearing devices. And then when you do the captioning, do a very similar kind of a check or a data collection to see how much better is it, and then really this will also allow time for the student to play with the captioning a little bit and ask questions and get some support prior to it starting to get used in the classroom. And it often works best to try it in a classroom first where that student feels really comfortable with that teacher and that teacher feels really comfortable with technology. Focus on that first and then use it throughout the other classrooms if you want to just ease him into the system. A lot of our kids are so technologically savvy, you just show them the app and they go, oh, and, and they get it figured out very quickly. And if they are already used to handing that teacher the mic from their FM or their DM system, really there's not any more that teacher needs to do. I did want to point out that, as you can see, we're looking at accuracy that is 95% or better. And there is some variability that depends on how much a person clutters their speech or interjects phrases, that kind of a thing. I am always amazed how clear Rob's voice is on captioning, and then mine isn't quite as accurate. I just wanted to point out there is going to be some variability, but we need to have that microphone used correctly by that teacher so that will ensure the best possible captioning, accuracy of the captions. All right, so I'm going to turn it back to you so you can close it out there, Rob.
Well, yeah, let me, there's a couple questions that we have. So I did not actually demonstrate the ability to send private messages. So let me go ahead and do that. And we can do that very quickly here. I'm going to make the screen a bit bigger. And over on the far right here, you can see, if you want to see what we look like, various folks here. But if I wanted to send a private message to Karen, all I'm going to do is click on her name. And when I do that, you can see it puts the symbol at Karen. And now I would just say something like, hi, Karen. And when I do that, it's going to get sent to her, and she would see that. I'll turn off my mic for a quick second here. So the captioning is paused. But she's going to see that in red on her screen, and I see it as well because it lets me know that it's gone here. And then up in the far right corner, she will also have that saved in her box. And so she can pull this up, and Karen responded back with, hi, Rob, there. And so you can see it gets saved to this message box as well. Because if we didn't save it, as you can tell here, it would just immediately scroll off the screen. So it's presented to the student in red, or to you if it's a comment coming from the student to you saying, hey, I don't understand this, or something like this. In addition to having it being displayed on the screen, it's also saved into that message box. Also, the question about sharing documents. So I could do that to a private individual, but here I'm just going to drag a document in. and click on the attach button. And when I do, then that gets sent to the students or the group of students. And so it's just as simple as drag and drop. And that's a way to be able to share those documents. Let's see. Any other questions? I think that's most of the questions that we have. Again, thanks for joining us. Definitely, we encourage you to give the free room a try. We're going to send you out these slides so you'll have that information on how to give it a try for free. And then by all means, sign up for a trial before you actually make the purchase. And that's important to us because we don't claim that this is the best solution for every student in every case. There isn't any such accommodation that is the best for absolutely every situation. We do think this is a really nice accommodation for the right situations for a student that does have hearing loss and potentially students that are deaf, but primarily students that have hearing loss and want to use these captions and the notes that they provide to augment their ability to understand what you're saying in the classroom. All right, Karen, why don't you close us out, and we'll call that a wrap for today.
Okay, I am happy to do so. You will be receiving an email probably tomorrow from Mike Massini. And again, Mike is the supporting success consultant who is there to help you and answer your questions about trial periods and anything you might have. So he's going to be sending you that email tomorrow with all the information from this webinar. And so you'll have his email address already and can just send return of questions to him. Also, I am very pleased that you joined us for this webinar. And as my thank you, I would like to offer to you a 60-minute CEU certificate of participation. All you need to do is email me. You can see my email address there, Karen@success_kids.com. And I need to have your request today. Just if it's only appropriate, it's only applicable to the people who are listening in right now. So go ahead and send in your request for that CEU certificate. If you're short on time, just on the subject line, just put in certificate or CEUs, and I'll know what you mean. And I will send you that certificate by the end of tomorrow. So as my thanks again, send in for that certificate and send any questions you have for us about Streamer, and please get on the demo room and give Streamer a try. Play around with it with your group or your parents or whatever. So thanks again, everybody. We really appreciate your coming and learning about Interact Streamer. Have a great rest of the day. Bye now.